Namo Buddhaya, Namo Rataya. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to our commemoration of the Parinibbāna of Yashodhara Theri. So I'm joined here by Yasodharā Theri, who has kindly offered the 8 precepts to those who came early, Anumodana to her, and to those who have undertaken these precepts for today. The precepts expire at dawn tomorrow, but it's a wonderful practice for those who have joined in that. I am Bhikkhuni Kachayana, and I'm joined here by Venerable Tavira, and you'll see a few of our other community members on camera later. Happy to see so many people here with us, especially our Bhikkhunis from around the world. Greetings to Bhikkhuni Adimoti and Venerable Vandana, Venerable Dhamma Vihari, Venerable Marajina, and many other friends here. Oh, Ayametta Jivi, yes, greetings, Aye. Happy to see you, Ayametta Jivi. All our other friends here also, Chintana, Deepak, Erica, Glenn, Maitri and Varanti, Mary, Ratana Kumari, and Shubhangi. Oh, and Ayesha Dhammadina has just popped in. Good to see you all. So, we are here today for a purpose. And let me put my screen up just a moment. We are here today for Sanghanusati, recollection of the Sangha. I'm going to read this from the Anguttara Nikaya. Buddha says, when a noble disciple recollects the Sangha, their mind is not full of greed, hate, and delusion. At that time, their mind is unswerving, based on the Sangha. A noble disciple whose mind is unswerving finds inspiration in the meaning and the teaching, and finds joy connected with the teaching. When they're joyful, rapture springs up. When the mind is full of rapture, the body becomes tranquil. When the body is tranquil, they feel bliss. And when they're blissful, the mind becomes immersed in samadhi. You should develop this recollection of the Sangha while walking, standing, sitting, lying down, while working, and while at home with your children. So this is one of 6 recollections the Buddha recommended for us. Also, we should recollect the Buddha, Buddhanusati, the Dhamma, Dhammanusati, and our own generosity and ethics, and the Devas. But today we're here especially for Sanghanusati, to remember one of the great Arahants of the past. There are many Arahants, all of whom are part of the Sangha, but each one has their own particular characteristics. Each one represents a particular way to live an awakened life in the world. And so today, this is what we've gathered to do. For Sanghanusati and also for our Patipati Puja, that means the honoring through our practice. This is what we do when we gather together harmoniously with the Sangha, when we undertake precepts, offer dana, when we listen to and discuss the Dhamma, when we chant and meditate, all in a dedicated manner. This is our Patipati Puja, honoring those Arahants of the past, honoring the Buddha. So, why tonight? Why are we gathered together on this particular day? This is the Phagguṇa Puṇṇamī Full Moon Uposatha Day. Let's see. This full moon day is known as Phagguṇa Puṇṇamī. Phagguṇa is the name of the month. Puṇṇamī means full moon, also known as Phagguṇa Puṇṇamī, or in Sri Lanka as Medin Poya. And this full moon is the anniversary of several auspicious events. So I'll tell you about several of them, and then we'll focus in on one. This full moon Uposatha is the lunar anniversary of the Buddha's first return to his hometown of Kapilavatthu after his full awakening. During this visit, we remember several events, including the first time that the Buddha performed the Yamaka Patihara twin miracle, when he emitted fire from the top half of his body and water from the bottom half simultaneously, done to gain the respect of the Shakyan elders. The Shakyans were his clan, and he was coming home after some time away, a young man, and they were skeptical. So this is the reason that he performed this miracle on that occasion. Here in this image from 2nd century Gandhara, you can see the flames coming out of his shoulders. And there's a little bit of water coming down here by the bottom. So it's the anniversary of this great miracle. This is also the anniversary of the stream entry of Suddhodana Raja, that is the Buddha's father, the king, and of Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī, his foster mother, who's we remembered with an event a few weeks ago, also a founding mother of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. But this was before that. This was when the Buddha first came home and both of his parents attained stream entry. It's also about the same time as the stream entry of Princess Rahulamata Bimba Yashodhara. So Bimba Yashodhara was her given name. Rahulamata means mother of Rahula. Rahula was the Buddha's son, and Yashodhara was his wife before he went forth from the palace, before he woke up, when he was just the bodhisattva living at home. She was his wife and the mother of his child. And around this time, upon his return to Kapilavatthu, she also attained her stream entry. Princess Bimba Yashodhara, Rahulamata, later went forth as a Bhikkhuni and became an Arahant, known at that point as Venerable Bhadha Kachana Theri. This same full moon, the Phagguṇa Puṇṇamī, is also remembered as the anniversary of her Parinibbāna, 42 years later, after her stream entry at Kapilavatthu. So we will be hearing much more about that this evening, so I'll keep this part brief now. But this is the event we're here chiefly to remember, is the Parinibbāna. We also respectfully acknowledge that this full moon is remembered in East Asian traditions as the date of the Buddha's Mahāparinibbāna in the second month of the lunar calendar. Noting this is different from the Theravada tradition, which commemorates the Buddha's Mahāparinibbāna as one of the three great events of the full moon of Visakha, in May. So we will be commemorating that ourselves in a couple months. We also respectfully acknowledge that this full moon is remembered in Tibetan and Himalayan traditions as the final day of the 15 days of miracles, Chultul Duchen, which I might not have pronounced properly. I apologize if not. When the Buddha displayed miracles at Savatthi, also known as Shravasti, including displaying the Yamaka Patihara twin miracle a second time, in this case to gain and increase the faith of the people. So here we have another image. Again, there's flames coming out of his shoulders here, and you can see a little more clearly the water coming out of the feet at this second instance of this miracle. We also remember in more recent times that this full moon, which is known as Medin Poya in Sri Lanka, was the date of the revival of Theravada dual Sangha ordination for Bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka in 1998. It was also the appointment of the first three Theravada Bhikkhuni preceptors of the modern era. So here we have a photo from that time, March 12th, 1998, the first dual Sangha ordination. in Sri Lanka. And we express our gratitude and respect to Most Venerable Sri Inamalue Sumangala Nayaka Mahatero for his leading role in supporting the ordination on that Medin Poya day, now 27 years ago, along with all the other courageous Venerable Bhikkhus and Bhikkhunis who supported and those who fully ordained as Bhikkhunis at that time. And coming to today itself, we note that there will be a full lunar eclipse beginning just half an hour after the end of our program and peaking about 3 hours later, which will be visible throughout the Western Hemisphere. So we want to note that eclipses are causes of fear and considered ill omens in South Asian culture. So then this day is it's an auspicious day, but an inauspicious omen. So how to understand? We remember also that Bhikkhuni Arahant Theris are signs of the Buddha's hallmark greatness in turning things that people consider unfortunate and cursed, like dukkha, like in some cultures, a female birth, turning that into the highest benefit and the highest happiness of Nibbāna. For it is said, Nibbānang paramang sukhang, Nibbāna is the highest bliss, and Nibbāna gaming paramang hitaya, Nibbāna is the highest blessedness. So, then that is what this day is about. We're going to move into telling the story specifically of Yashodhara Theri, beginning with a little bit of chanting from our Venerable Dhammanusari.
The predictions of ancient Buddha Tipāṅkara, the lamp lighter. Sudasana supiyaca manapapiya vadini tasatam me sudayada vihari sati itika. Good to see and beloved with pleasing and endearing words. This will be your Dhamma heir, dwelling mindfully, a woman of spiritual power. Yathapi pandasamukam anurakkati samino evang kusala dhammanang anurakki sati ayang. As spouses and bosses protect their property and wealth, so she will mindfully guard and protect your kusala dhamma teachings. Tasate anukampanti purayisati parami sihova pancarang petwa papunisati pudiyam. With compassion for you, she will fulfill the parami. Like a lion breaking free from her cage, she will attain Buddhi awakening. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much to Venerable Dhammanusari for sharing that with us. Just want to read through again because we couldn't make the slides go at the same time as the sound. This was the prediction of the ancient Buddha Dipankara, the lamplighter, to the future Buddha Gotama with regards to the future great disciple Yashodhara, who would be his wife through many, many, many lives. Good to see and beloved with pleasing and endearing words, this will be your Dhamma heir, dwelling mindfully, a woman of spiritual power. As spouses and bosses protect their properties and wealth, she will mindfully guard and protect your kusala Dhamma teachings. With compassion for you, she will fulfill the paramis. Like a lion breaking free from her cage, she will attain bodhi, awakening. So with that auspicious beginning, I'm going to invite Venerable Tavira to share more about Venerable Yashodhara Theri's story and how we know about it.
Thank you. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Ratanataya. So this evening we're commemorating the Parinibbāna of Venerable Bhikkhuni Yashodhara Bhattacāccana Therī. And this is a fairly new commemoration for us. Just last year and this year are the first times that we here have recognized this anniversary. So we're still very much thinking about increasing awareness and learning more and continuing to just kind of develop our understanding about how to look at this anniversary. So as Venerable Kachayana said, this is a practice of Sangha Nusati, recollecting the Arahants. And in this case, we're recollecting the Parinibbāna of one of those great Arahants. So the Parinibbāna, which is the entering into final Nibbana with the release of the body. So the Parinibbāna of one of the great Arahant disciples of the Buddha is really a momentous occasion. For those who are not yet fully awakened, this might feel like a time of grief. They were, especially those who were there at the time and knew her, it was really the mourning of the passing of a great presence in the world. But for those who are strongly Dhamma-minded and other Arahants, it's really a time of celebrating final freedom. So we have texts that describe the Parinibbāna of a number of the Buddha's close disciples, such as Sariputta and Moggallana, and the anniversaries of those events are recognized and remembered during the year. But what about the Bhikkhuni's Arahant Bhikkhuni disciples? So the Pali text canon, the Tipitaka Mula, records the Parinibbāna of two of the Buddha's most outstanding Etadagga Savika Bhikkhuni disciples, Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Therī and Yashodhara Bhattacāccana Therī. The accounts for these two bhikkhunis are found in the Sutta Pitaka's Khuddaka Nikaya collection in the Theri Abhidhamma. And these are the heroic biographies of the Buddha's foremost bhikkhuni disciples. And I encourage you to go actually read these yourself. There are freely available English translations of the Theri Abhidhamma on Sutta Central and on the website Legends of the Buddhist Saints with a translation by Jonathan Walters. But what do we know about when their Parinibbanas happened? So for both Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Therī and Yasodhara Bhattacāccana Therī, in the Pali Canon, the Theri Abhidhamma records the stories of their Parinibbāna and implies the timing, but doesn't actually state it specifically. So about 12 years ago, Ayatthaloka learned from Bhante Sujato that the date of Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Theri's Parinibbāna is actually recorded in a Chinese parallel to the Theri Abhidhamma. And she learned later from Bhikkhu Analayo and Bhikkhuni Dhammadina of additional Chinese and Tibetan parallels, which give more detail. And in those texts, Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Theri's Parinibbāna is recorded as 1 week after the full moon of the lunar month of Magha, which is usually February. And so now Dhammadharini and others recognize this event each year. So we recognized that here about a month ago. You see on the screen a flyer from a commemoration in India that happened last year and this year. But what about Yashodhara Therī? So first, let's talk about who she is. So she appears numerous times throughout the Pali Canon, but is known by several different names and epithets. So, for example, she was one of the foremost fully awakened Arahant Bhikkhuni disciples of the Buddha, and she's described in the Anguttara Nikaya, Book of the Ones, in the Etadagga Vagga, where she is known by the name Venerable Bhaddakachana Theri. She was also a princess and the wife of the Bodhisattva before he went forth and awakened as the Buddha. And she's described in the Khuddaka Nikaya in the Theri Upadana, and there she is known by the name Yasodhara, bearer of glory. She was also the mother of Rahula, the son she had with the Bodhisattva, and she appears in the Vinaya Pitaka with the epithet Rahula Mata, or Rahula's mother. And she had a very long history with the Buddha over a multitude of lifetimes. She appears in a Pali Jataka text, commentaries, and manuscripts with the name Bimba, meaning golden. So what do we actually know about her? She was one of the 7 co-natals of the Buddha. So she was born on the same day as the Buddha. They married at age 16. She had their son Rahula at age 29. And then the Bodhisattva went forth, leaving her behind. So the texts tell us that she was getting news of his practice and renunciation, and even though she was living in the palace, she was mirroring his practice, removing her royal garments and wearing simple kasaya robes, removing her royal jewels and no longer using makeup and perfumes, abstaining from the use of grand king and queen-size beds and seats, fasting, and other austere self-mortification practices. So all of this during the 6 years of the Buddha's practice leading up to his awakening. So after the Buddha's awakening, he returned to Kapilavatthu to visit his family, and we're also remembering that return visit on this full moon. And the other ladies of the court went to go pay their respects to the Buddha, but Yasodhara stayed behind, and the following day, the Buddha himself went to see her. And the stories tell us that she fell at his feet and wept. The Buddha knew of her loyalty during the time that he had been away. He recounted to her a story of one of their past lives together, the Chandakinara Jataka, in which she also displayed her complete loyalty. And with this, really profoundly reorienting, she realized stream entry, Sotapanna, and dried her tears. She was age 36. Yasodhara then ordained at age 40, and dedicatedly practicing Vipassana, she attained the fruits of arahatship within the first fortnight of her Bhikkhuni life, so within 2 weeks. The Buddha named her as one of his foremost disciples. Etadagang bhikkhave mamasavikanang bhikkhuninang mahapajāpatānang yadidang bhaddakachana. Monks, this is the foremost of my Bhikkhuni disciples in attainment of the higher knowledges, bhaddakachana. So there's a wonderful version of this chant from Empty Cloud Monastery that I won't play here, but I suggest you go watch it on YouTube. So as we're remembering and honoring Yasodhara Theri, we can think about, for so many other foremost disciples of the Buddha, we know the date of the anniversary of their Parinibbāna, and we have really tangible evidence of their lives in the form of stupas and relics. So does any of this exist for Yasodhara Theri? So these are the questions that Ayatthaloka was asking for 10 years, leading up to just before we entered into winter retreat last year in 2024. And we don't have records of these in the canonical Pali text, Yasodharā Therī Parinibbāna, but do they exist elsewhere? So there are other sources of information. There are Pali texts and manuscripts additional to the Pali canon, which record the stories of the Buddha, his teachings, his life, and his disciples. There are parallel texts recorded in other languages, such as the Chinese translations of the Taisho Tipitaka and the Tibetan translations in the Kangyur Tibetan canon. And Ayatthaya had for years been keeping an eye out for any Chinese or Tibetan text parallels to the Yasodharā Therī Apadana, as had been so useful with the Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Therī Apadana, but she had found none. So there's other sources of information. There are also old and diverse Pali text manuscript traditions of South and Southeast Asia, both canonical and extra-canonical, which record smaller and greater variations of these stories and teachings, including compositions of varying lengths, such as summaries and elaborations. And throughout the centuries, people who are keen on making and sharing merit have invited and sponsored recitations of these texts, as well as the copying of these fragile palm leaf manuscripts, preserving and passing down these traditions within Buddhist communities. So to consider the Sri Lankan manuscript traditions, in 2009, Ayatthaya learned of this book by Sri Lankan author and translator Ranjini Obesekere, Yasodharā, Wife of the Bodhisattva. And this has translations of 2 Sinhala manuscripts. It includes a translation of this Pali manuscript of the Yashodhara Apadanaya. And this manuscript is otherwise nearly identical to the canonical Pali text, but it does mention both relics and the establishment of a reliquary stupa of great Theri Yashodhara. So what was still unknown about her? So about a month before we began winter retreat last year, Deepak Anand of the Retracing Bodhisattva Xuanzang project, who's here with us this evening, he wrote to Ayatthaya asking her about Yashodhara Therī. Was the date and place of Yashodhara Theri's Parinibbāna known? Was there a stupa recorded, as there is for Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Therī? And she had to answer sadly something like, no, we don't know the date. Old Buddhist manuscripts in Sri Lanka say there was a Yashodhara Parinibbāna relic stupa, but I haven't been able to learn anything about the location either. But then, just before the start of our retreat last year, Ayatthaya had a feeling there was more to the story and that the time was right for it to emerge. She remembered reading of a Savaka Nibbana genre of old Pali text manuscripts and followed up, finding an article of Peter Skilling which mentions this. In a footnote in that article, she found mention of an 18th century Thai painting depicting the Bimba-Nibbana at the Walters Museum in Baltimore. However, this painting had been mislabeled by the museum as depicting the Buddha's parinirvana, though the painting itself has a clear caption in Thai script which says Bimba-Nibbana. In other words, the Parinibbāna of Bimba Yashodhara Therī. After an extensive search through the museum's online exhibit, since the painting is mislabeled, she saw for the first time a depiction of this great Theri's Parinibbāna. And here's the painting, and the caption reads, Bimba-Nibbana. So with this encouragement and blessing, she put out a quick online request to friends for any information and rapidly and progressively learned more. Soon, searching in Thai, Khmer, and Lao scripts, she found a treasure trove of information. So it turns out there exists an extensive, rich, and diverse Bimba Yashodhara Parinibbāna manuscript tradition of mainland Southeast Asia. from southern Thailand, from central Thailand, from Lana Thai in Thailand's northwest, from Laos in the northeast, from Cambodia in the east, and later in the program we'll hear from Seminary Dhammajivi about one of those Cambodian manuscripts, and from Myanmar in the west, with catalog listings and scanned images of some available online. But it's not so easy to read them. So Ayatollah contacted scholar Trent Walker, who's the assistant professor of Southeast Asian Studies and Thai professor of Theravada Buddhism at the University of Michigan. And he was able to provide her with a link to a Romanized Pali critical edition of the Southern and Central Thai Pali manuscript traditions. So this was published in 2003 by a team of Thai researchers in this book shown here, with support from the Queen Sirindorn Anthropology Center research database. This is a collection of old polytext manuscripts of Bimba Yashodhara Therī Parinibbāna, preserved in the Pali language, as written in old Khmer Kom and Mon scripts. And as well as a study, the book included a critical edition in Romanized Pali and Thai translation. Title of the book translates to Examination and Analytical Study of Pali Language Editions of the Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbana Scripture. So, consulting with Trent Walker, Ayatollah reviewed key portions of this long Pali text, where record was found of the exact information we were hoping for, date of Bimba Yashodhara Therī's Parinibbāna, location of Bimba Yashodhara Therī's Parinibbāna, and record of a Chaitya stupa of Bimba Yashodhara Therī's crematory relics. So, what does it say about the date? The text includes Puṇṇamī Uposate Phagguṇa Mase. The Phagguṇa Puṇṇamī, or in Sanskrit, Phagguṇa Puṇṇimā, is the full moon Uposata of the month of Phagguṇa, passed down as the 15th day of the 4th lunar month on the Thai calendar. So this full moon is already remembered as the anniversary of the Buddha's first return to his hometown of Kapilavatthu, as well as also Suddhodana Raja and Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī stream entry day, and Yashodhara's stream entry day the following day. And it's also the lunar anniversary of the revival of Theravada dual ordination in Sri Lanka, and this year will be 27 years ago. And now for a second year, we are remembering it as Most Venerable Arahati Bhaddakachana Bimba Yashodhara Therī's Parinibbāna Day. This year, March 13th, or 14th in Asia. So this text also tells us about the location. Northwest of Savatthi, at her Bhikkhuni Arame, near the Achiravati River, now the River Rapti. And the text tells us about the establishment of a Chaitya stupa for the great Arahati's bone relics, Atidatuyo Tupachaitiyan. And some of the texts describe her relics as being the color of this flower, which in English is known as an egg magnolia. And so where are her relics now? In Sri Lanka, according to the Dhatu Vangsa, together with the Buddha's highly venerated forehead bone relic, there were arahat relics enshrined in the 2nd century BCE in the Seruvila Mangala Saya Chaitya stupa in Trincomalee in Sri Lanka's eastern province. Among them were relics of 2 great Bhikkhuni arahants, Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī and Yashodhara Theri. So therefore, this is at least a more than 2,000-year-old tradition. So that stupa was inaccessible for a time due to the civil war in Sri Lanka, but is now accessible again and has been recently restored. And Seruvila, when excavated, was found to contain ancient inscriptions which corroborate the Pali and Sinhala Dhatu Vangsa Chronicles story. So in response to her request online, friends of Ayatthaloka in Sri Lanka let her know of a recently constructed stupa in Sri Lanka, re-enshrining a portion of these ancient relics of Yashodhara Theri. It was built by the Mahamayana monastic community of Sri Lanka, led by the Venerable Kiribadgoda Nyanananda Thera, which takes highly respecting the ancient stupas and relics of the Buddha and the Buddha's Arahant disciples very seriously. Here's a picture of the Sri Yasodhara Mahasaya Chaitya Stupa in Udupila. And the Venerable Vandana recently visited and will be telling us about that soon. The stupa was inaugurated with great celebration 10 years ago with the formal re-enshrinement of an ancient relic of Rahulamata Yashodhara Theri. There are also relics of Parinibbāna Bhikkhuni Yashodhara Theri enshrined in Thailand. According to a listing of registered reliquary chaityas in Thailand and the relics they enshrine, two Chaitya Chaitya stupas in southern Thailand enshrine Bimba Theri relics from ancient Thai stupas, which have recently been either renovated and restored or reconstructed. At Wat Doi Dhammachedi in northern Thailand in Sakon Nakhon, which enshrines relics of the Buddha and 24 Arahants, it also contains relics of Bimba Yashodhara Theri. Wat Santidang, also in northern Thailand, in Chiang Mai, also contains Pra Bimba Theri relics in its famous collection of Pra Arahanta relics. And finally, there are two sets of Pra Me Bimba Theri relics in the private Gunarom collection, which is pictured in a Thai royally presented commemorative book of the collection. And those are shown here. So as we said, we're still kind of learning and increasing awareness about this anniversary. So we're wondering if any of you can help, if anyone watching has any other information. So do you know of any other inspiring artworks depicting Bimba Yashodhara Theri's Parinibbāna? We're still looking to know more and know exactly where in India is her stupa. Is the story of Yashodhara Theri's Parinibbāna told in the Chinese text Tripitaka or the Tibetan text Tripitaka? And there are a lot of different variations of this story as it's been handed down through the centuries. So what can we learn from those variations? Are there other important resources we haven't yet uncovered? And what would you like to do next year to honor this anniversary? So if anyone has any information, we certainly welcome it. And I will go on to honoring other aspects of this anniversary.
Thank you very much, Venerable Tavira. And yes, so these are good questions, and we do hope to have a little time for discussion later on if you have any thoughts about any of those things. But first, we have couple more people are going to present something. We'd like to introduce at this point Seminary Dhammajivi, who has been working with some of those palm leaf manuscripts. And here she is in the corner, not too far.
A very preliminary reconnaissance report of Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna manuscript that shows her Parinibbāna date and location, her relics, and her Jitya stupa. I am Seminary Arya Dhammajivi, formerly Dr. Malai Uch of Cambodia and USA. I would like to offer my respects to the Mahasangha Ratana and my greetings to Dhamma friends. This presentation will cover the lacking details of her Parinibbāna, my journey to find the details of her Parinibbāna, the characteristics of the manuscript found at the EFEO Paris Library, my working procedure on the manuscript, my very preliminary reconnaissance report, conclusion, and gratitude. Lacking details of Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna. The details of her Parinibbāna, which are not found in the Pali text Tipitaka, include her Parinibbāna date, her Parinibbāna location, her relics, and her Jitya stupa. I want to introduce you to the painting we just saw. I had never seen a painting like this before. This is a 19th century painting depicting Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna at her monastery. The Thai script caption reads, Bimba Nibbana. It is part of the paintings and manuscripts that show and tell the story of the Buddha's disciples Parinibbanas. Unlike the Buddha's other disciples, she performed meritorious deeds and accumulated good karma for the sake of the Buddha's awakening. She was a like-minded wife with karma and conduct like the bodhisattvas, per her Abhidhamma. My journey to find the details of Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna. I started this journey when I was a lay person known as Dr. Malai Uj, co-founder of Cambodian Bhikkhuni Sangha initiative. This research spans the time period of my entry into monastic life, including my last trip of lay life. My Bhikkhuni mentor, Venerable Tathaloka Mahatheri, has been doing extensive research on Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodhara's Parinibbāna. One of her findings led to Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Theriya Buddha Kamapanang Parinibbanang at the EFO Paris Library in France. The collection is under the catalog name PS65. Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna. Her Parinibbāna manuscript shows 5 different titles. First, Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Theriya Buddha Kamapanang Parinibbanang. Second, Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna. Third, Bimba Bhikkhuniya Nibbana. Fourth, Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Therī Parinibbāna. And fifth, Bimba Nibbana. I have included the definition of the Pali words in the title that describes this manuscript. It is Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Theriya Buddha Kamapanang Parinibbanang. The other 4 titles are shorter and more recognizable. Bimba Yasodharā is the name of the princess and wife of the Bodhisattva before he went forth and awakened as the Buddha. Bhikkhuni is a fully ordained female Buddhist monastic. Theriya is derived from Therī, which means senior. Buddha means the enlightened one. Kamapanang is derived from Kamapana, which means asking for pardon. Parinibbanang is derived from Parinibbāna, which means death after the last lifespan of an Arahant. So this title is translated as Bhikkhuni Bimba Yasodharā Therī, asking the Buddha's forgiveness and paying final respects before Parinibbāna. This is the website that my Bhikkhuni mentor had shared with me. I've included a QR code to this URL for your reference. This manuscript is from the personal legacy of the great Orientalist scholar of the Pali and Sanskrit traditions, the late Professor Louis Fanal, 1864 to 1935. It was a part of his personal legacy gifted to the library after his death. I'm grateful for his gift, as I haven't seen this version of Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna in my Cambodian community yet. Please note that the Khmer script title of this manuscript at the EFEO Paris Library's websites, as shown here, doesn't reflect its Romanized script title and the calm script title on the first palm leaf of the manuscript. It is missing the long A on the word Bimba and missing Pari on the word Parinibbāna. For this presentation, I updated the Khmer script title to match its Romanized script title as shown on the bottom of this slide. My Bhikkhuni mentor has learned about the EFEO Paris Library that it holds rare Cambodian manuscripts, including the Mahavamsa, which is the extended version of the Mahavamsa, known as the Cambodian version, and Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna. The area has been flooded often, and she was concerned that these rare manuscripts could be lost due to floods. She also saw a need for the library to digitize its manuscripts collections, and she was aware of a call for applications for Endangered Archives program grants to collections at risk. As my Bhikkhuni mentor, Venerable Tatthaloka Theri, updated me with her findings and concerns, and I felt the urgency to help preserve these rare Cambodian manuscripts. When I was still a lay person and had about a week between my last day of work and the day to renounce my lay life, I took a last-minute trip to Paris from October 2nd to October 8th, 2024. I took my mother along to spend my last trip with her as a lay person. I invited my son along to help with the planning and navigating and to spend time with my mother during my time at the library. I had only 3 days at the library as it was not open on weekends. After arriving at the library, I registered online to use the service. I then got connected with 2 librarians. From their connection, I learned that the manuscripts have not been impacted by the floods, and that they were also aware of the call for applications for Endangered Archives program grants to collections at risk. I was also authorized by the head curator of the library to go down into the reserve area of the library to see the manuscript collections where they were kept. I learned that over 300 Cambodian manuscripts were still to be put up on the catalog, which is accessible throughout the European Union. After registered, I ordered the extended Cambodian Mahavamsa and Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Therī Buddha Kamapanang Parinibbāna. I used gloves to handle these palm leaf manuscripts. I was allowed to take pictures of the manuscript from my phone without using any flashes. I worked on Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Therī Buddha Kamapanang Parinibbāna on my second day at the library. Characteristics of Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Therī Buddha Kamapanang Parinibbāna manuscript. This is a calm Pali manuscript written on palm leaves with 5 lines of text per side of each palm leaf. 462 photos were taken in total. The first photo is the tag name of the manuscript, which is wrapped around the physical manuscript. The second photo is my request to order the manuscript. The third photo is the first palm leaf of the manuscript and the title page. The subsequent photos are for the subsequent palm leaves, 3 photos per one side of each palm leaf. The palm leaves of the manuscripts are bundled together with strings through 2 separate holes that space out the manuscript into 3 parts around the 2 holes. To obtain the manuscript, the photos were taken in a similar manner. The first part, part 1, is cut off around the first hole. The second part, part 2, is between the first hole and the second hole with some overlapping to part 1. The third part, part 3, is cut off between the last part and around the second hole with some overlapping to the second part. The overlapping was done to ensure completeness and that the manuscript was not cut off from the photos. I've included a QR code for the link to the 462 photos of the manuscript. The first palm leaf is the title page. Subsequent palm leaves have header labels with a nickname of the title as Bimba Nibbana and a label starting with Ga to Chi. Not every palm leaf has this label. The manuscript also has section labels starting from Pattamawattu. There are more than 10 sections. I don't have the exact number yet, as the transliteration of the manuscript is still in progress. The name used throughout this presentation as Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Theri Buddha Kammapanang Parinibbāna is located on the second to the last palm leaf and is highlighted yellow on the bottom right of the slide. QR codes to the EFEO URL and to the photos of this manuscript are included for those who wish to follow up on this research. The manuscript is well preserved and readable. When reading or putting the first two parts of the manuscript photos together, ensure to exclude the overlapping text around the cutoff areas as shown here. Similarly, when reading or putting the second and the third parts of the manuscript photos together, please also exclude the overlapping text around the cutoff areas. This is an example of 3 photos of the manuscript have been put together to their original single palm leaf after their overlapping text had been removed, which is useful for a presentation. The EFEO website lists this manuscript in Kham script. I've included a description of Kham script and its history found online for your reference. I have also added some Khmer fonts of modern Khmer script on Bhikkhuni, Bimba, Yasodharā for you to compare to the writing in this manuscript. Kham script is a variant of Khmer script. I read extensively for research and learning. I also taught Khmer language. With my background, I naturally was able to read this manuscript without realizing that it was in Kham script. I saw some subtle and a few gross differences from the modern Khmer writing, but initially thought that those differences were due to the writing style of that time. At the end of the last palm leaf has this Thai script, which Google Lens translated as, "This was brought as requested from Wat Bang Wa." Working procedure on Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Theri Buddha Kammapanang Parinibbāna manuscript. For transliteration, reading directly from the 3 photos of each side of a palm leaf is easier and clearer. Just make sure to also exclude the overlapping text around the cutoff areas. Except for the second palm leaf after the title page, the manuscript is read from left to right, and each line starts from part 1 and continues to part 2 and then to part 3 before wrapping around to the next line in part 1. For my work, I transliterated the Kham script into my modern Khmer script. I added the photo file names of the 3 applicable photos and put them on top of each section of my transliterations for easy reference. From the Khmer script, I also converted the manuscript into Romanized script for my Bhikkhuni mentor and for future audience. This is the chart I used to convert from Khmer script into a Romanized script. When converting, please keep in mind that Khmer consonants already have a short A built in. I also compared my converted Romanized script to the Romanized Pali critical edition of Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbāna that my Bhikkhuni mentor had shared with me. A critical edition of Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbāna is a scholarly text edition done on at least 10 selected manuscripts of Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbāna to present the most accurate and authoritative version of her Parinibbāna. The oldest manuscripts selected were from between the 17th and the 18th century CE. The most recent ones were from the late 19th century CE. This work was published as a book translated as Examination and Analytical Study of the Pali Language Edition of the Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbāna scripture by researchers Siam Pataranupravat and Rongkroy Piromanukol, 2003 CE. It is available publicly with the research database of the Serendon Anthropology Center. A Romanized Pali critical edition of Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbāna is the Romanized Pali version of the critical edition which is included in its chapter 3. The top and the last sections of this Romanized Pali manuscript critical edition look similar to that of the EFEO Pali 65 Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna manuscript. The title Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Theri Buddha Kammapanang Parinibbanang appears at the end of both the Romanized Pali Critical Edition and the EFEO Pali 65 Bimba Yasodhara Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna manuscript. Although the transliteration is still in progress, based on the Romanized Pali Critical Edition of Bimba Bhikkhuni Nibbāna, my Bhikkhuni mentor guided me to look for the Parinibbāna date and location of Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodharā Theri, her relics, and her Jitaya Stupa in the EFEO Pali 65 manuscript. After a very preliminary examination, I found the information. My first very preliminary reconnaissance report is the date of her Parinibbāna. It is found in the photo file name shown on the slide, with the Pali phrase read as Bonna Obosate Phagguṇamase. I have included the definition of those Pali words found online for easy reference. Bonna means full in digital Pali dictionary. Obosate is derived from Obosata, which means Sabbath day. Phagguṇa and Phagguṇa have the same meaning. In Cambodian language, it means the 4th month of the Cambodian lunar, corresponding from mid-February to mid-March, per Hadley's Khmer English Dictionary. Mase is derived from Masa, which means month. Also, per Pali English Dictionary, Puṇṇamī, which is derived from Puna, means full moon day, and Phagguṇa means name of month, February to March. Therefore, the Pali phrase Bonna Obosate Phagguṇamase is translated as the full moon Obosata of the month of Phagguṇa, which is the 15th day of the 4th month of the Cambodian lunar calendar, corresponding from mid-February to mid-March. Per the 2025 Cambodian Khmer calendar, this date is pointed to the 13th of March 2025. My second very preliminary reconnaissance report is on the location of her Parinibbāna. It is located on the photo file names shown on this slide, with the Pali phrase read as Savatiyang Uttara Disaya Ajiravati Nadiya Avidure Bhikkhuni Arame Parinibba Yisamiti. As before, I have added the definition of these Pali words found online for our easy reference. Savatiyang is derived from Savatthi, which is the capital town of Kosala in India, and one of the 6 great Indian cities during the lifetime of the Buddha, per Pali dictionary. Uttara means northern. Disaya is derived from Disa, which means a direction, a cardinal point. Ajiravati is the name of a river, and Nadiya means of the river. Avidure means near. Bhikkhuni is a fully ordained female monastic monk. Arame means monastery. And Parinibba Yisamiti is derived from Parinibba, which means die without being reborn. So the Pali phrase Savatiyang Uttara Disaya Ajiravati Nadiya Avidure Bhikkhuni Arame Parinibba Yisamiti appears to say that her Parinibbāna located in the north or to the north of Savatthi at her Bhikkhuni monastery near Ajiravati river. The picture on the left here that we also saw earlier is depicting Venerable Bhikkhuni Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna at her monastery. As for the location of her monastery in today's map, the ancient Savatthi was located in the crescent-looking shape area about Jetavana, per Archaeological Survey of India, Lucknow Circle, as shown in the figure 2 on this slide. Per the manuscript, her monastery was located in the north or to the north of Savatthi, near Ajiravati River. Today is called Rapti River. So her monastery might have been around the yellow circle area, which is northwest of Angulimala Stupa's location. My third very preliminary reconnaissance report is on her relics. It is located on the photo file names as shown on the slide, with the Pali phrase read as Thātiyo Mandarabopha Satisa. I've also added the definition of those Pali words. Thātiyo derived from Thātu, which means cremated remains or relics. Bopha means flower. Mandarabopha is a type of flower. In my Cambodian language, we call it Mandarbopha or Mandarabopha, which means magnolia, liliifera flower. Satisa is derived from Satisa, which means equal, similar, or like. So the Pali phrase Thātiyo Mandarabopha Satisa describes her relics like magnolia, liliifera flowers. My fourth and final, very preliminary reconnaissance report is on her bone relic Jitya Stupa. It is located on the photo file names as shown on this slide, with Pali words read as Ati Thātiyo and Tupajitayang. Like before, I've inserted the definition of these Pali words found online for our easy reference. Ati means bone. Thātiyo is derived from Thātu, which means the remains of the body after cremation. Tupa is the monument erected over the ashes of a holy person. Jitayang is a religious building or shrine. It is derived from Jitya, which means stupa in the Headley's Khmer English Dictionary. Therefore, the Pali words Ati, Thātiyo, and Tupajitayang appear to describe the bone relic Jitya Stupa of Venerable Bhikkhuni, Bimba Yasodharā Theri. Conclusion. My offering of Venerable Bhikkhuni, Bimba Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna date and location, her relics, and Jitya Stupa descriptions is my very preliminary investigation of EFEO Pali 65, Bimba Yasodharā Bhikkhuni Parinibbāna manuscript. I encourage others who wish to do an independent investigation of this manuscript to do so. The QR codes provided in this presentation contain the URL of the EFEO website and the photos of this manuscript. I plan to finish the transliteration of the manuscript and then to seek support to translate the manuscript into Khmer and English. Once completed, I hope to put the manuscript into a book and make it available for the public. If this manuscript indeed holds the missing details of Venerable Bhikkhuni, Bimba Yasodharā Theri's Parinibbāna, it will fill one of the missing gaps of Buddhism on Great Awakened Women. Venerable Bhikkhuni, Bimba Yasodharā Theri, the woman who gave herself for the merit of the Buddhas, attained companionship with him and unconditioned nirvana. And finally, a deep gratitude to my Bhikkhuni mentor, Venerable Tathaloka Mahateri, for her extensive research in bringing the stories of great ancient awakened women to the present time and into the future. For an opportunity to offer my very preliminary report working through these manuscripts enhances my growth and development as a future Cambodian Bhikkhuni. It enables me to see the subtle and gross differences on the usage of the Cambodian language and deepens my skills to discover more stories from Cambodian manuscripts. Your efforts to show significant contributions from women in Buddhism will make harmony in the four folds of the assembly possible, which is for the benefit, welfare, and happiness of gods and humans. Thank you, Aye. Seminary Arya Dhammajivi.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, thank you very much for sharing, giving us the slice of life of the researcher. Appreciate that. It is an adventure, really. So, thank you very much. And I also want to echo what you said about appreciation for Ayatollah. I think I didn't mention earlier, she's not with us on screen tonight, but she is very much a part of this program in its development, and we wish her well for her health and appreciate all her hard work in bringing this program to us this evening. So next up, we've heard about some of these. Venerable Tavira told us about some manuscripts, and now Seminary Dhammajivi has given us the hands-on details about that. And next up, I would like to invite Venerable Vandana Bhikkhuni. Venerable Tavira told us about one of the stupas in Sri Lanka that contains the relics of Venerable Yashodhara Theri, and our dear Venerable Vandana Bhikkhuni. Who is there with another Bhikkhuni? Is that Venerable Upalawana? Who is
Yes.
that? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Vandami Venerable. So I think they have gone together on a pilgrimage to that stupa recently, and they would like to tell us a little bit about that. I have the pictures. I can put them on the screen when you're ready. Let me know. But
good morning and good evening to everyone. And thanks to all the senior Bikkhunis and much metta to all the Dhamma friends. So today, on the most auspicious occasion of Rahula Mata Yashodhara, or we can say Yashodhara Bimba, her Parinibbāna, Phagguṇa Puṇṇamī Full Moon. I'm Bhikkhuni Vandana from India, and she's Bhikkhuni Upalawana Maharagama Theri from Sri Lanka. So as the day I visited at Shri Yasodharā Stupa, it was actually raining that day. And I wanted to stay along there, but it was like, I don't know why, but it was so raining so heavily that I couldn't spend that much time. But as I entered that place, I felt a very deep peace inside my heart. And the place, even it was like partly cloudy, it was so dark, but still that space was like shining, it was like glowing. And I feel really happy when I went there. So as a monastic, I have visited many places. Even in Sri Lanka, I've been to many places. But when I visited this place, and we everyone know about the Yashodhara, the devoted wife of the Prince Siddhartha, whose quiet strength and unwavering faith often remains in the shadow of the Samyak Sambuddha's journey. Standing there in front of her statue, I felt her presence, not in the words or stories, but in the stillness of resilience and sacrifice. She had known loss, yet she had also known devotion in purest form. Rahul Mata Yashodhara's journey was not one of bitterness or regret. It was one of patience, understanding, and eventually enlightenment. She too had walked the path of renunciation, finding liberation not through resentment but through wisdom. As I reflect on her story, I felt a deep connection, not just to her, but to every woman who had ever walked the path of the Dhamma, seeking truth in silence and strength in surrender. As reading her stories and visiting this place especially, one thing came into my mind, that Yashodhara Theri was never just a figure that left behind. She was the seeker, just like a Siddhartha, like a now Venerable Dhamma Jivi have mentioned, like she was like same like a Buddha. So I was also feel the same, like she was a seeker, just like a Siddhartha Gautama. Her strength lay not in the resistance, but in acceptance, in walking her own path with dignity and grace. Her story is one of immense significance, testament to kind of love that transcends attachment and leads to true understanding. This place is not just a monument, it is a reminder of silent strength, of unwavering faith, and of the beauty of Dhamma that continues to guide us all. My heart was full of inspiration. I bought last time before departing, and I believe that Shri Yashodhara Stupa is not just a sacred site, it is a living testament to a woman's quiet yet powerful journey towards enlightenment. I have this renewed sense of devotion and deeper appreciation for the path I have chosen. And especially, I'm really thankful for Ayat Tathaloka to tell me about this place, because when I talk with the Sri Lankan people, I want to go to this place. Many of people doesn't know about that place, and then we try to figure it out on Google, and we find on Google, we try to find it, and then we went there finally. But as we started our journey, unfortunately, it started raining heavily. But I'm happy that I made it before I go back to India and before the Parinibbāna day. So here I have choose these 3 verses from Yashodhara Apadana. And this is verse number 407, 408, and 409. So Pati Samvidha Chattaso Vimukhapi cha attime Chalabhinya Satchikata Katam Buddha Sasanam. The 4 analytical modes and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledge mastered, I have done what the Buddha taught. Evam bahuvidham dukkham sampati cha bahuvidha visuddhi bhavam sampatta labhami sabba sampada. Thus many sorts of suffering and many types of happiness, the pure life now has been achieved. I have obtained all achievements. Yadadati sakkatanam punyathaya mahesino sahaya sampada honti nibbana padama samkhatam. The woman who's giving herself for the merit of the great sage attains companionship with him and unconditioned nirvana. So this is the verse that inspired me most. And as we see her story, in this last verse, we can see that she have mentioned about the companionship with him. So like already everyone have explained that she was there every birth of the Siddhartha Gautama. She was always there with him as her companion, as his companion, and she earned lots of merits with him. And finally, when he attained the enlightenment and he became a Gautam Buddha, she had that benefit of earning the same merit, and she also entered the Nibbana. So for the all women around this world, for all the women who are living spiritual life. This is the path that anyone can follow, and anyone can attain the liberation, supreme bliss of Nibbana. And here, as we reflect the story of Yashodhara, so we can see how dedicated she was and how much strength she has. Like I mentioned that in that place, what I felt, and it was literally the same in her story also. So when you try to put yourself in her place, you will understand why she was completely different from the other Bhikkhunis and why she has so much strength and why she was so much devoted towards the path she have chosen and what she's doing. So I believe that all the monastic Bhikkhunis who are doing, who are walking on the path of the Dhamma, please have faith in yourself and be devoted to the Dhamma. So in this very life, you can also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, and you can help others to be free from the suffering and achieve the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May the Triple Gem bless all the living beings and protect them. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes. Thank you very much, Venerable Vandana, for that lovely sharing. Happy to see you this evening. Happy also to see Venerable Upalawana Mahateri. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us, Venerable? Any few words?
Theris and all the Bhikkhunis and all the 4 disciples who are with us now today. Of course, I got this opportunity. I'm so happy and I'm so delighted that when Vandana Bhikkhuni came to me and my place, and she told me she want to find out this Yasodhara Theri Mahasaya. In fact, I had not been in Sri Lanka. I had not been able to go to this place and see that place because involved in so many things. So actually, I felt sorry after going there why I did not come to this place. Anyway, thank you, dear Tataloka Theri, and also Bhikkhuni Vandana, because she came here only. I was able to help her, and I took her to the place. And we started our journey, and on the way, heavy rain was, we underwent a heavy rain. Anyway, getting wet also, we went to the place. I just want to say something to add my friends, my Bhikkhunis, sister Bhikkhunis said, because he said the Yasodhara Theri said something in front of the Buddha, Kancha Saha Sassa Mukha, Sakya Putteni Vesane Samana Sukha Dukkatha Devataviya Nandane. This is I am a Sakya Putri. I am a woman. I am a lady from Sakya clan. But I came with you. I wanted to help you. And she had been doing this from the day that the Deepankara Buddha gave her the this proclamation that one day you can become a wife of the Bodhisattva who will become a Buddha. So together they came with, and she at the last stage, at the last birth, and you know, when she was left by Siddhartha, king, then he was king, later he became the Tapasvi. So she never wept about it. She never cried. So this is the set sample for all women. All women, Theri, all the Theris, I'm going to tell you, because yesterday my sister Vandana also and myself, we were sharing this concept with our own audience yesterday. I was preaching Dhamma in 2 temples. We gave this message to all of them to become courageous and to become patient when things happen and endure things. because those are the best qualities that I admire of Theri Yasodharā. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. And at last also, I'm going to say enduring the tolerance and the patience that the Yasodharā Theri had. We have to follow her. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, 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 Anumodama. Thank you very much, Venerable. So happy you could join us and also join Venerable Vandana on this wonderful pilgrimage. So, joining us. I'm going to invite next another Bhikkhuni from India, Bhikkhuni Shakyadin Dhammadina. I may invite you to share a few words. Are you there, Venerable?
I'm here. Can you see me? Can you see me?
Yes, there we are. Yeah, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for inviting me. And first of all, I pay my respect to the Triple Gems, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, and Namo Sanghaya. I pay my respect to all the Arahant Agasavikas during the Buddha's time and also today. And the respect to Venerable Tathaluka and all the Bhikkhunis present here today in this beautiful session. We just completed our Indian session. We started at 5 o'clock in the morning and completed at 7 o'clock. And then 7:30 I joined this session. And on this auspicious day, I would like to pay my respect to Arahant Theri Bhattakachana, who was foremost in great insight, who was foremost in higher knowledge, and Buddha has put her foremost in higher knowledge and great insight. Here about the journey of Yasodharā, and I am listening to all the venerables, and this is so beautiful that at least now we are recognizing the journey of Bhikkhunis. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, Aye Tathaluka, Bhikkhuni Tathaluka, Venerable, she shared a PDF on Yashodhara with me, and I was just going through the book, and I found that there are many things which are not maybe mentioned or which cannot be completely or clearly understood by the in the Apadana. But in the PDF, I have noticed a beautiful poem from the Sri Lankan tradition about the Yashodhara. Actually, it is Apadana Theri. The verses from the Apadana Theri, but it is explained in a different way, and the journey of the Yashodhara is beautifully explained here. I would like to take a moment, like when I was reading the Apadana, there was one verse, verse number 356. Nana vidham bahum dukkham sansare cha bahu vidhi tuihathaya mahavira anubhutam asankhiyam. So Yasodhara is saying about the Buddha. We know that in Apadana, she has explained a lot about her journey, her sacrifice in many lives with the Buddha. But in this verse, she says, after experiencing both pleasure and pain along the way, the great Buddha reached awakening, the teaching for which the Buddha strived. Like she's explaining how closely she knows the Buddha. She knows that how much pain and pleasure the Buddha has gone a long way to attain the enlightenment to become the Buddha. And after that, in that book, when I was reading the book, the Aye has sent me, in that book, she says, after performing the miracles, when she come back, after performing the miracles, and the monks and the laity people, they were sitting there. So she says to them that, do you think that I am a woman of a little merit? No, do not think so. I am not a woman of little merit, because you see the 80 foremost Agasavaka, the bhikkhus, who were Buddha put them foremost. Those 80 have lived with the Buddha and fulfilled their perfections in 100,000 eons, kalpas. And if you think that Sariputta and Moggallana has more merits than me, no, do not think so. Because Sariputta and Moggallana, they are the great disciple, the Dhamma Senapati of the Buddha. But still, they have less merits than me because they have stayed with the Buddha for only 100,000 kalpas and 2 asankhya. But I have lived with the Buddha for 4 asankhya and 100,000 kalpas. So I have more merits, and there is no woman in the entire Buddha era who was so blessed and so strong like me, because I have stayed more with the Buddha than Sariputta, Moggallana, or the 80 Agasavakas. So I like that because she knew the Buddha very closely. And as Bhikkhuni Vandana has said, she was also a seeker. Though she was sacrificing her life, and she was for the Buddha, and she has explained in the Apadana already. And there was one more thing, one more verse, that is 403. Agaram vichahitvanam papajing anagariyam Arthamasi asampatte chatusacham papuni. After abandoning my home, I went forth into homelessness. When 8 months had not yet elapsed, I attained the Four Noble Truths. So she is explaining that when she went forth into homelessness, just only within 8 months, she understood the Four Noble Truths. So we can see that how much wisdom she has already gained in the previous life, staying with the Buddha, fulfilling the perfections, and within 8 months, Buddha spent 6 years to attain enlightenment. He spent 6 years and gained the enlightenment. And Yashodhara, within 8 months, she understood the Four Noble Truths. So there are many verses in Apadana which are very inspiring. And when we read the PDF, I think you all have the PDF because Ayetata Luka just provided me the day before yesterday. But I think you all have that PDF. When you will go through that book of Yasodhara, the journey is beautifully explained. You should read the Apadana also, and then go through the book also, and you will understand it more deeply, the journey. In that the Buddha, when Buddha went to Kapilvastu, we just learned that the Buddha went to Kapilvastu for the first time, and Yashodhara, she started crying, touching the feet of the Buddha. At that time, the Buddha, how he explained the qualities of Yashodhara to his father, to King Shuddhodhana, that Yashodhara has lived with me for many, many years, and she has sacrificed a lot of things. She has offered food and everything to many enlightened ones, to many arahants, and that's why now she is here as my wife. And he was explaining the qualities of Yashodhara. Even at that time also, when she went to get the permission from Buddha to attain the Parinibbāna, at that time also Buddha did not allow her straightly to enter into Parinibbāna, but before that he said to her that when you attain the arahantship, after that you stayed as an ordinary nun. It is written in the book that you stayed as an ordinary nun. You have the miraculous powers, you have the avinya, but you have never showed it to the people. So many people doubt whether the mother of the Rahula Mata, is an arahant or not. So even after attaining arahantship, she stayed very ordinary. She stayed very quiet even after attaining arahantship. And people did not even know that whether she was an arahant, whether she has the miraculous powers or not. So Buddha said to her that show some miraculous power so that everyone will believe that you have become an arahant before you enter into Parinibbāna. So Buddha is like Buddha himself explaining a lot of qualities. And for the Bhikkhunis, because if we see the condition of India, the young girls, the young women who are just married or who are going to be married, and because Yashodhara was very young, and we always explain the journey of Buddha and his wife in the previous lives also. So the young couples, the young husband and wives, they can take a lot of inspiration from their journey. How the Yashodhara has sacrificed a lot of things just for the sake so that the Siddhartha would become the Buddha in the previous lives. So there are many things to explain, but I will not go for that. But there is one more thing that I would like to share with all of you, which is a very good news. And Venerable Tathaluka, she gave me the opportunity to share it with you. We all know that every year from 2nd December to 12th December, 10 days, we have the International Tipitaka chanting under the Bodhi tree, where the Buddha got enlightened at Bodh Gaya, India. Sister Wangmo Dixie, she is an Upasika from US, and she is organizing this. She is the main organizer, and she is organizing this Tipitaka chanting from last 19 years. The purpose of this international chanting is to bring back the original teachings of the Buddha to its motherland, to India. She started the journey with 200 monks in 2006. Now, 19 years, 2024, we had 12,000 registrations done, among which around 3,000 to 4,000 monks and nuns from 27 countries join this ceremony every year, and 8 to 10,000 people, Upasak and Upasikas from 27 countries, join this ceremony. Under the Bodhi tree, we recite the main Pali verses, the main Pali canon under the Bodhi tree from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The whole day. And every day we have 1 hour Dhamma talk from different senior venerable monks from different countries. So it is such a beautiful occasion. For 10 days, we feel so blessed under the Bodhi tree, reciting the words of the Buddha, understanding them under the Bodhi tree with so many Bhikkhu and Bhikkhunis from different countries. We may not know who is Arahant among them and who is the Sotapanna and who is the Sakadagami. So the environment and the surrounding is so blessed with the words of the Buddha. So I invite all of you to join this year as every year, because it started with 200 monks only. And now after 19 years, we have around 12 to 15,000 people joining this ceremony for 10 days. So I invite all of you to come and join this ceremony. And this year is so special. Why is it so special? Because every year it is organized, because it's the cost and everything, it takes a lot of efforts to organize that. So every year some countries take the responsibility as the chief organizer of this International Tripitaka Chanting Council. From last 19 years, though it was happening in India from last 19 years, but India has never been the chief organizer of this International Tripitaka Chanting. Last year was the Cambodia, and every year from last 19 years, different countries has taken the responsibility. But this year, I'm very glad to let you know that this year and the next year, in 2025 and 2026, India is the chief organizer for this International Tripitaka Chanting Council. And we have taken the responsibility, and our organization, the Bodhipakya Dhamma Foundation, who is working for the Bhikkhunis, well-established Bhikkhuni Sangha in India, we are working for that. So Sister Wangmo has announced 13 organizations as the main leader to take the responsibility, and our organization is also one of them. And we have got the opportunity to food offering to the Sangha for 1 day. Sister allowed us to choose any day from 2nd December to 12th December, to choose any day. And one day, the food donation cost is $22,000. This is for one day. And we offer 10 days, and there are many other expenses as well, like flowers and other decorations. So we have taken the responsibility of food offering for one day to the Sangha. Food for everyone. There is food for everyone, 12,000, 15,000 people. We have the breakfast and lunch for everyone. So when sister asked me, the main thing is that when sister asked me which day would you like to take for food offering, so I went through the chart and I saw that 4th December is the full moon day and the 12th of December is the half moon day. And I first asked her to give us the 4th of December, but it was already pre-booked by Mahāpajāpatī Society, Bangalore. So we got the 12th of December. It is the half moon day, and it is the day when Sanghamita Arahant Theri departed for Sri Lanka, carrying a Bodhi tree sapling from India. So this day we are going the Bhikkhuni Sangha food to the people, the Sangha and the people who are joining this ceremony. On 12th of December, we are offering the food to all the people joining this ceremony. And we are dedicating this day especially to Sanghamitra and her journey and all the Bhikkhuni Sangha. What we are planning, it is just in my mind now. We have to implement it every day when there is a ground and we have the food offering in the ground. We have the beautiful tents and decoration there. So every day during lunchtime, they have some cultural activity. So the chief organizer country, they show their culture, they show their tradition in the form of dance or different things. So that day we are planning to have the culture program for the Bhikkhunis there on 12th of December during lunchtime, when everyone will be having lunch. They can enjoy and they can learn the journeys of Bhikkhuni through culture program on the stage there. So we will do that, and we will have the banners and charts of Bhikkhunis, the journey of Bhikkhunis, different Bhikkhunis. So it means like that day I'm explaining because that day we are completely dedicating that day to the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and we have already taken the responsibility of food offering to all the people on 12th of December, dedicating that day to the journey of Sanghamitra. So I would like to invite all of you to please come and join this ceremony and join us in the journey of Bhikkhunis, and give us the opportunity to share our merits with you on this beautiful day on 12th of December, where the journey of the Sanghamitra started. And there is one more good news. I think the Venerable Tadhaluka has already shared with you, but I'm very glad to share that after the Tipitika chanting on 12th of December will finish, on 17th of December, it is like proposed now, not completely finalized. On 17th of December, from 17th of December to 22nd of December, it's a 5 to 6 days journey. From Kapilvatthu to Vaisali, we are having Bhikkhuni Charika, Bhikkhuni Trail Charika, and we will be walking and we will be visiting all the places from Kapilvatthu to Vaisali. The Mahāpajāpatī, when she left home with 500 Sakayanis, she left home, she walked from Kapilvatthu to Vaisali, and in Vaisali she got ordained. So we will be walking on her footprints. We will be indicating, we will be going to the places of Mahāpajāpatī and having the Charika there and worshipping there, and placing the stupa also at Vaishali, where she got ordained and where her relics were cremated, where we have the stupa of Mahāpajāpatī in Vaishali. So as Venerable Tathaluka informed me that this year we are planning to have at least 25 plus Bhikkhunis, international Bhikkhunis and Indian Bhikkhunis joining this MPG Trail Charika, Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī Trail Charika from Kapilvatthu to Vaisali. It's a 6-day journey, and we will be, and next year, I think she said that maybe 500 Bhikkhunis from, I'm not sure whether we can do that, but 500 Bhikkhunis. Yeah, 500 Bhikkhunis we are proposed, and Venerable Liu from Vietnam, and she's really a great Bhikkhuni, and she shared that maybe next year we can plan to have at least 500 Bhikkhunis. I'm not sure I read the 500. Yeah. So this is we are going to do, yes, 500. I'm correct. I'm just checking the message of Venerable. So this year we have the inaugural Charika. We are inaugurating the ceremony, and we will have this Charika every year for the journey of Bhikkhunis. So this year is 25 plus Bhikkhunis plus samaneris, and some lay people will be there, and we will make a film, and at the end we will install a long wished MPG statue, Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī statue, and shrine at Birpur, Vaishali, where the stupa of Mahāpajāpatī is found. So this Charika will be wonderful for Bhikkhunis, and a new journey of Bhikkhunis will start with this Charika. And next year, we are planning, the second year, next year will be second year, we are planning to have 500 international Bhikkhunis, great renunciation Charika. So hope it will be successful. It will be a new milestone for the journey of Bhikkhunis in India, and founding the places of Bhikkhunis, and giving them a new, giving the women a new opportunity to enter into the to get the ordination and become Bhikkhunis, and also to the women who because in India there are many monks, but sometimes women don't feel comfortable to talk to the monks. So there will be more Bhikkhunis, and this journey will be really helpful for the Bhikkhunis in India and international also, and for all the lay women who needs help and who would like to learn Dhamma from the Bhikkhunis. So I would like to invite all of you to join this also. I have requested Venerable Tathaloka also, but hopefully she will be joining us, because she's taking a lot of efforts to plan all of this. So these two ceremonies, the International Tipitaka ceremony from 2nd of December to 12th of December, India is the chief organizer, and on the behalf of India, on behalf of Bhikkhuni Sangha, I'm inviting all of you to join this ceremony from 2nd of December to 12th of December, and join us in food offering on 12th of December, dedicating the day for the Bhikkhunis, for the Sanghamita's journey. And then join us for the Charika, for the Bhikkhuni, footprints of the Bhikkhuni from Kapilvatthu to Vaisali, 17th December to 22nd December. For this, I will stop here. And I wish that I can see all of you in person in India at the land of Bodhgaya under the Bodhi tree. We all will share the marriage together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Modana, thank you very much, Venerable, for sharing about these wonderful meritorious activities arranged by the Bhikkhuni Sangha for the Bhikkhuni Sangha. It's very exciting. And here at Dhammadharini also, we're very excited about the next 2 years with India as the chief organizer for the Tipitaka chanting. And we actually have a project and an initiative through Dhammadharini to be supporting some activities related to that. And we have a mailing list. Venerable Tavira has put in the chat our mailing list sign up if anyone is interested in hearing more about this project as it goes on. And maybe that's also a good way to share about, follow up with some of the things that Shakya Dhammadina has just shared with us. We might be able to send you some, connect you with her through our mailing list. So please sign up if you're interested in hearing more. Next up, I would like to invite from the Dhammadharini Support Foundation Board of Directors, our secretary, Glenn Goffin, is here with us this evening, and he's going to share a few words about other activities of Dhammadharini. And then after that, we're going to have time for a little bit of Q&A and discussion about everything we've heard this evening. So please think about what you'd like to ask. But for now, thank you, Glenn. Good to see you this evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
The microphone's not good. Thank you, Kachayana, and all of the ayahs present for this really great, fascinating presentation. I have a history degree, and so I'm always fascinated by the problems of finding out facts from the past and finding original documents. And this was, I was pulled into the right program. So thank you. I want to talk very briefly to the lay community about the board of directors and about how you can help out at Dhammadharini. So as you know, my name is Glenn Goffin. I'm a member of the board of directors, and I'm also an officer of Dhammadharini, and my office is the secretary of the organization. And I'll give you as short a primer as I can. The job of the board of directors is to manage all of the operations of all of the secular operations of Dhammadharini and to support the religious functions. So one of the most important secular operations is handling the finances so that the religious operations can be taken care of by the monastics. So we take care of fundraising, we manage all the money, we make sure that, or we have responsibility to take our best efforts to see to it that everything that needs to be paid for is paid for, and that the organization keeps running, and that it has running water and electricity and computer servers and insurance and all the things that you need to run any organizations, secular or religious. So that's what in a nutshell, what the board of directors does. So we're sort of the level, you can look at us maybe as the level of stewards above the sort of ordinary stewards who handle, going to the grocery store. My job as secretary is to keep first of all, to keep the minutes of the meetings of the board of directors, so we have a record of what decisions we've made. And more broadly, I'm in charge of the documents of the secular documents of the organization, the filings that we have to make with the Secretary of State, and to make sure that we've gotten our filings to the tax authorities so that we keep our tax exempt status, and all those things that are not in the Vinaya, but that have to be done. So that's what we're here for, to support the monastic community in that way. And if you're not completely bored about that and you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to contact me. But I'm sure you won't. I want to talk briefly about volunteer opportunities, and I'll start by noting that on the Dhammadharini website, there's a volunteer tab, and that's the easiest way to find out about volunteer opportunities. If you're interested in helping from the least committed, smallest level, which is probably to put yourself on the list of someone to be called if they need something, which maybe show up and help carry things at an event, or there's that level, and then up to working on activities that the board of directors is involved in, like running the finances, running the facilities. You can imagine, and you don't have to imagine. You can go to the volunteer tab and find out. There are a lot of opportunities to volunteer. We always need people at all levels of the organization, from the board down to people who show up and carry things at events. And there are volunteers at the monastery all the time, handling a lot of operational stuff, making food, preparing food. I don't know, because I don't get down to that level of the operation, but you can and you should. And that is a service to the Sangha. As far as fundraising, current fundraising priority, to my understanding, and I am not in charge of that, but we have a development director, an officer who is the director of development, who also sits on the board. And her name is Nuchada. But my understanding is that the best, most helpful contribution now at this time is just an unrestricted gift of cash, which we can then use for whatever we need it for, whatever the organization happens to need, from whatever it might be, fixing a truck, covering requisites, paying for insurance. And I'm going to put a link to the, if I can do this, which I am the least, no, I'm not the least technically competent person on the board, but I think it's but I'm down there. I'm down on the bottom of the board. So I'm going to try to put this link into the chat. And Control V. There it is. So Dhammadharini.net/support will lead you to a page where you can enter your information and make financial contributions to the organization. And there are other ways to make financial contributions as well. If you are physically present at an event, I'm sure that I know that there's a cash box. That's the traditional way that money is donated to all religious organizations of all kinds everywhere in the world. And that's available. Or you can send money to Dhammadharini at its address, or you write a check. We try to make it as easy as possible to help money to come in to run the organization. Because that's also true of religious organizations of all kinds all over the world. Is we live in a world where money is needed to buy things, and so we always need money to buy things and run our operations. Those were the most important points that I had, and I probably spoke rather quickly because I wanted not to take up too much time. And I'd encourage, if anyone has any questions about anything that I've said, either to direct them to the monastics if that's appropriate, or to me. And I will do that chat thing again if you need to reach me.
Okay.
I'm sure
you might need to choose who the recipient is in the chat.
Yeah. So any questions about any of that, you can contact me.
But yeah, we'll send people your way. And thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being with us, and really appreciate all your service on the board and in joining us this evening also. And with that, we welcome questions, either, well, could be questions for Glenn or could be questions for anyone here. Anything that you've heard this evening that you'd like to ask about, share about, reflect about. We'll have a few minutes for that right now. And then after that, there will be a closing Dhamma reflection from Venerable Ayya Marajina, and a little bit of closing chanting at the end. But for now, we want to have a little bit of time now that we've heard from so many people. Is there anything that's anyone else would like to say? Please welcome to raise your hand in the chat. Oh, I see one. Yes. I'm not sure how to say your name. Bienth. Anyway, yes, please go ahead. Bienth BR. No? Okay, hand has gone down again. Anyone else would like to join Chintana? Yes, please.
I was wondering what Kachaya means.
Right. Well, yes, I do share my name, at least in part, with one of the names of Yashodhara Theri. It means golden, like the color, like golden light, not like the metal.
Right.
But yeah, so there's a whole story I could tell about how I got that name, but maybe another time. When we see you next, I'll tell you that story. But yeah, I do feel honored to be a bearer of that name in the tradition of this, of Venerable Bhata Kachana Theri. It's a wonderful name. Thank you for asking. Oh, Venerable Upalawana Theri. Yes, please. Yes.
The permission of all the Bhikkhunis and the participants, I would like to ask you now. We have started appreciating and memorizing the Yashodhara Theri or Bhaddakachayana Theri today. And are we going to continue this every year from and what do we have to do in future? And asking you.
I'm sorry, it seems our connection isn't very good, so I'm not catching everything you just said because of the bad internet. But are we going to keep doing this every year? Yes?
Yeah, that's right.
So we think so. Yes, we think, why there are so many bhikkhu arahants who are remembered year by year. And, we have been for many years remembering the Bhikkhuni Arahant Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī, Therī. But why limit ourselves to one? All of the arahants we believe are worthy to remember. And if we have this knowledge about them, why not? It seems worthwhile to think there's not only one Arahant Bhikkhuni in the world, there's two. There's more than that. And each individual one gives us extra, an extra sort of window into what it would be to be an Arahant. And so we think it's a value, and I think we will be continuing, probably. Yes, I see Ratana Kumari Maritunka. Please.
Namo Buddhaya, Venerable. Just now this mention about the three position in the Google Earth, the possibility of the stupa of the Arahant Yashodhara. Is there any plan like to excavate or go to investigate or do exploration about this place?
Right. Well,
that sounds like a perfect question for Deepak if it's still on.
Yes, I was just thinking that also. Deepak Anand is a researcher in India who has been researching many of these ancient sites and has been popularizing them and doing so much work with that. So I don't know if there are current plans to look further into these stupas. Deepak, are you here with us? Would you be able to say a word or two about that?
Hello, Venerable. Good evening to all of you. Yes, I mean, as actually, there's no plan of excavation because we exactly do not know where is the stupa. I mean, exact spot where the stupa is. We broadly know the larger area based on the accounts of Xuanzang and Fashian that this Birpur, the village and its surrounding, I mean, the village itself is sitting on a mound, ancient mound. And according to Xuanzang, that is the place where Amrapali lived. And close to her house was the place where Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī attended Parinibbāna. So Xuanzang saw a stupa. So he saw stupa something like, 1200 years ago. So probably, I mean, now there's a village settled on that mound and lots of brick robbing has happened. So we may not exactly say, because, I mean, in that area, there were many stupas. I mean, there was also a stupa to mark the house of Vimla Kirti. So even if we find some stupa, we cannot say exactly that this is the stupa of Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī. But I mean, idea is if we keep waiting for the exact spot and exact stupa, so we may never start venerating the sanctity of the contribution of Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī. So the idea is maybe all this search will continue, but in the meantime, we should start with reviving the sanctity of this locality, this area. So the place which we have identified, where we are offering worship, it is like, even if we find the stupa eventually, maybe sometime in future, so that would be something very close, like, maybe 50 or 100 meter close to that mound, because that is the place that fits the description of Xuanzang. So that is the idea. So maybe in future, archaeologists or scholars, they are inspired by all these activities, and they carry on this more of exploration or scientific research. So maybe eventually we may find the stupa, but for the time being, the idea is to celebrate the legacy of Mahāpajāpatī Gotamī.
Thank you for sharing that, Deepak, and thank you for that wonderful question. So we are running a little bit behind schedule, but I think there's one more comment from Ayatoloka, who has been watching and has some.
She has a couple of corrections.
Yes.
So one is that I believe in one of Seminary Dhammajivi's slides, it showed the incorrect date for her Parinibbāna. So it should be Puṇṇamī Uposita Phagguṇamaste. I think you showed a slide with a different date that might be the date of the establishment of her stupa rather than her Parinibbāna. And the other is that from Venerable Bhikkhuni Shakyadhammadina, the text actually says, you may have seen a translation error. So the text actually says that she became an Arahant half a month after her ordination rather than 8 months. So see, she said it literally means when not yet a half month has passed. So
actually, it was on the understanding of Four Noble Truths after 8 months, not arahantship. I said understanding the Four Noble Truths only after 8 months. Did I say arahantship she attained? I said after 8 months of ordained, as when she went into homelessness, and after that, within 8 months, she understood the Four Noble Truths. Not arahat, because this is what I have read. Sorry, I will say later. Luca will correct me.
Maybe you can share that text with us. We can take a look and see, because there are so many different versions of these stories that are of interest. So yes, please share that text with us.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I wish we had a little more time for discussion, but I think I would like to come into the ending of our program now, and our final speaker will be Ayamarajina, coming to us from Florida, with a Dhamma reflection inspired by Yashodhara Theri. May I invite you? Let's see, where are you? Yes, here she is. Thank you for joining us, Venerable. Oh, you're muted.
Do you hear me?
Yes, thank you. I know it's late for you. Thank you for being with us.
Well, Namo Buddhaya, and thank you for the invitation to offer this reflection. Good evening, good morning, and good night to all the Venerables, and to especially to my very venerable preceptor, Ayatoloka. I hope I don't make any mistakes. I was given 3 words, Gotamī Saranang Matano. And that comes from the Yashodhara Theri. And it's translated, I believe, by Ayatoloka as my work is done, the ultimate refuge is here with me, nowhere else. In me, nowhere else. Katang me sarana matano. And unlike many other words from Pali to English, this word sarana transfers to refuge pretty well. So what is refuge? As I looked that up to give us a ground to start from. Refuge is shelter or protection from danger or trouble. And the synonyms in that case would be safety and security. Refuge is also a place of shelter, protection, or safety. The synonyms in that case would be haven, sanctuary, or retreat. And then lastly, anything to which one has recourse for aid, relief, or escape, so that you can see that the way we use refuge is very much like this. In the Samyutta Nikaya 22.43, the Buddha exhorts the bhikkhus, dwell with yourselves as an island, with yourselves as a refuge, with no other refuge. With the Dhamma as an island, the Dhamma as a refuge, with no other refuge. And also in the Mahāpajāpatī Sutta in Digha Nikaya 16, when Ananda is seeking security for the Sangha after the Buddha's Parinibbāna, the Buddha repeats this instruction, dwell with yourself as an island, yourself as a refuge, with no other refuge. With the Dhamma as your island, the Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. And many of you, or some of you, just took refuge, and I heard 8 precepts a little while ago, or maybe a couple hours ago already. This is the first act of a Buddhist practice. It's a practical, practicing sense. We go for refuge. At first, not fully understanding refuge, but with some faith, confidence that understanding will unfold as we take up the direction of the Noble Eightfold Path. We accept refuge as the right path to avoid wrong views. We take refuge in the Buddha as the Arahant, the Sammasambuddha, the Blessed One, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well gone, knower of the worlds, unsurpassed, trainer of minds fit to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and exalted. Yashodhara had this faith, this confidence in great measure. She'd been partnered to the Bodhisattva for many, many lifetimes. She was like-minded, sharing in the strength and purification of Parami through their lifetimes together. She went forth from the home life with this faith. We also meet with faith, us, this confidence through many ways, through many circumstances, in smaller measures perhaps, but this is the beginning of our refuge in the Buddha. When we take refuge in the Dhamma, we accept the teachings are well spoken by the Buddha, visible here and now, outside of time, inviting us to come see, leading onward to be experienced by the wise. The Venerable Bhattacāccana accepted the Dhamma and put herself into the work, put the teachings to work. For some of us, it's easier. For some of us, it's harder. But we aren't asked to believe and accept. We're asked to try them out, put them to work, experience them for ourselves. We take refuge in the noble Sangha of monastics who are practicing rightly, straightforwardly, knowledgeably, the right way. The 4 pairs of persons, the 8 individuals. These are worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, gifts, referential, salutation, the unsurpassed field of merit for the world. It was the same for Venerable Bhattacāccana. She entered the greatest field of merit for the world, which included the Buddha in life. She took refuge in the Buddha and the teachings, and she relied on the noble Sangha for like 2 weeks. And it's a little longer for us. But then she became refuge. She became our refuge. Refuge is one of the epithets for Nibbana, and Nibbana itself is an epithet for the destruction of lust, hatred, and delusion, the unconditioned, uninclined, the truth, the far shore, the subtle, the very difficult to see, the unaging, the stable, the undisintegrating, the unmanifest, the unproliferated, the peaceful, the deathless, the sublime, the auspicious, the secure, the destruction of craving, the wonderful, the amazing, the unailing state, Nibbana, the unafflicted, dispassion, purity, freedom, the unadhesive, the island, the shelter, the asylum, the refuge. Yashodhara had faith in that. We have faith in that. Yashodhara had trust in that. We have trust in that. She was her own refuge. We make of ourselves a refuge with the Noble Eightfold Path, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Arahant Bhikkhuni broke free from like a lion from a cage. She became the ultimate refuge. Then there's just that, refuge. When Arahant Bhikkhuni attained to the supreme freedom from bondage, she became her own refuge, and she became our refuge too. She was one to be relied upon, to be trusted. She taught the way to the undefiled, having reached the undefiled. And it is this way to this day. We follow the ones who came before us. We take refuge in an unbroken lineage. Thank you for listening. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, 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 anumodama. We appreciate your sharing very much. Thank you for reminding us what we're here for, this recollection of the Sangha, and how it can be this space of safety and refuge for us. Appreciation. We'll go to our closing chanting, shared again by Venerable Dhammanusari.
Arahant Theri, Yasodharā Bhata Kachana, speaking to the assembly with the Buddha before her ultimate Parinibbāna, the lion's roar of her attainment. Iti soja vasi homi tipaya sota thaduya jeto pariyanyanasa vasi homi mahamuni. I am a master of the supernormal powers, the divine ear elements. I am a master of the knowledge of the other minds and heart. Great sage, Bhupe nivasang janami te pajaku visutitang sapasava parikina nati nani punapavo. I know my previous life, and above my divine eyes is pure. I have cut off all defilements. Here is no further becoming for me. Swakatang vata no asi, mama buddhasa santike, Tiso Vija Anupata Katang Puttasa Sasanang. Welcome indeed was the Buddha present to me. I have attained the threefold knowledge. The Buddha teaching have been done.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, Anumodana for Yashodhara Theri, Bhattakachana Theri, having done the teaching of the Buddha. May we do likewise. For now, we can close with our paying respects to the Triple Gem. Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhaṃ Bhagavantaṃ Abhivademi. Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. All right. This is the close of our program. Thank you all very much for joining.